It's a lovely day for racing here at Sportsland SUGO as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race.
Chris Stokes will be testing the limits, making sure everything's in sync for the faster laps to come.
Jack Betting begins their out lap, feeling out the track conditions. Chris Stokes is on their practice out lap, warming up the tires. Bart's last lap was a 146.648, aiming to shave off some seconds here.
Bart is really starting to push now, analyzing every sector for potential improvements.
It's a lovely day for racing here at Sportsland SUGO as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race.
This out lap is crucial for setting up the car's systems and getting a feel for the track.
Jack Betting begins their out lap, feeling out the track conditions. Chris Stokes is on their practice out lap, warming up the tires.
Chris Stokes will be testing the limits, making sure everything's in sync for the faster laps to come.
I'm Hal, your VVS commentator bot. Let's do this. With just 45 minutes left, the pressure is on for drivers to finalize their setups. Now several laps into the session, Bart Van Nisande looks to refine their line and timing.
Bart is really starting to push now, analyzing every sector for potential improvements.
I'm Hal, your VVS commentator bot. Let's do this. It's a lovely day for racing here at Sportsland SUGO as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race.
This out lap is crucial for setting up the car's systems and getting a feel for the track.
Chris Stokes is on their practice out lap, warming up the tires.
Chris Stokes will be testing the limits, making sure everything's in sync for the faster laps to come.
Bart van de Sande has set a best lap time of 1:45.812 so far.
As the session progresses, Bart van de Sande is dialing in, looking more confident with each lap.
Here's Dominic Fovard weaving through traffic.
I hear he uses socks for driving gloves, you know.
Slipper socks do have a lot of grip after all. Now several laps into the session, Jack Betting looks to refine their line and timing.
Jack is really starting to push now, analyzing every sector for potential improvements.
Bart van de Sande just clocked 1:46.085. Can they improve on this lap? Jack's last lap was a 1:48.609, aiming to shave off some seconds here. With just 40 minutes left, the pressure is on for drivers to finalize their setups.
Every minute counts now, and the drivers know it. This is when they see some of the most aggressive tuning and testing.
Chris Stokes is now on their first flying lap. Let's see what they can do. Hailing from the quaint town of Melbourne Mowbray, Nigel must be really pumped to be here today.
Isn't that where they make all the pork pies?
It is, so let's hope he's not eating all the pies and giving himself some extra ballast. Now several laps into the session, Jag Betting looks to refine their line and timing.
As the session progresses, Jag Betting is dialing in, looking more confident with each lap.
Some say he has no face, and that he's confused by stairs. All we know is, he's called the Kiwi. That is a great looking livery on Nigel's car.
Apparently Mag Arnold does the designs for him.
I miss that guy, hopefully we will see him back on track one day.
Some say he has no matching socks, and that he accelerates with his left foot. All we know is, he's called the Kiwi.
Phil Bodkin begins their outlap, feeling out the track conditions. Van de Sande just clocked 146.085. Can they improve on this lap?
Bart is really starting to push now, analyzing every sector for potential improvements.
Dominic Fauvargue has set a best lap time of 148.134 so far.
As the session progresses, Dominic Fauvargue is dialing in, looking more confident with each lap.
Nigel's last lap was a 147.066, aiming to shave off some seconds here.
Nigel is really starting to push now, analyzing every sector for potential improvements.
I'm not sure which came off worse, the circuit or Nigel Walters' Bellett. I hear that Nigel is a pretty keen skier and snowboarder.
He's certainly got a mountain to climb if he wants to do well in this race.
You know, John took home the VVS Driver Championship last year, so I'm sure he'll be working hard to protect his title.
Wasn't that only because he attended more events than anyone else?
That's true, but let's let him dream.
Ooh, ouch.
Van de Sande just clocked 642.393. Can they improve on this lap? It's a lovely day for racing here at Sportsland SUGO as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race.
This outlap is crucial for setting up the car's systems and getting a feel for the track.
Some say he has no face, and that he's confused by stairs. All we know is, he's called the Kiwi. Botkin is testing the Isuzu Bellett GTR under more aggressive conditions. Nigel Walters has set a best lap time of 1:45.872 so far.
Some say he has no matching socks and that he accelerates with his left foot. All we know is, he's called the Kiwi.
Well, that is not good. Phil has crashed into the barriers.
Sucks to be them.
Now several laps into the session, Phil Botkin looks to refine their line and timing. Dominic's last lap was a 1:47.033, aiming to shave off some seconds here. Jack Senna just clocked 3:24.515. Can they improve on this lap?
As the session progresses, Jack Betting is dialing in, looking more confident with each lap.
Dominic Fovard has set a best lap time of 1:47.033 so far. Now several laps into the session, Bart van de Sande looks to refine their line and timing.
Bart is really starting to push now, analyzing every sector for potential improvements.
Here's Dominic Fovard weaving through traffic.
I hear he uses socks for driving gloves, you know.
Slipper socks do have a lot of grip after all. Chris just clocked 145.986. Can they improve on this lap?
As the session progresses, Chris Stokes is dialing in, looking more confident with each lap.
Phil's last lap was a 150.113, aiming to shave off some seconds here. Jack Betting has set a best lap time of 147.010 so far. Here's Dominic Fobard weaving through traffic.
I hear he uses socks for driving gloves, you know.
Slipper socks do have a lot of grip after all. Now several laps into the session, Jack Betting looks to refine their line and timing.
Jack is really starting to push now, analyzing every sector for potential improvements.
Bart's last lap was a 145.550, aiming to shave off some seconds here. Hailing from the quaint town of Melton Mowbray, Nigel must be really pumped to be here today.
Isn't that where they make all the pork pies?
It is, so let's hope he's not eating all the pies and giving himself some extra ballast. Jack Senna just clocked 147.111. Can they improve on this lap?
As the session progresses, Jack Betting is dialing in, looking more confident with each lap.
That is a great looking livery on Nigel's car.
Apparently Mag Arnold does the designs for him.
I miss that guy. Hopefully we will see him back on track one day. Bart Van de Sande has set a best lap time of 145.550 so far.
Bart is really starting to push now, analyzing every sector for potential improvements.
Now several laps into the session, Nigel Walters looks to refine their line and timing. You know, John took home the VVS Driver Championship last year, so I'm sure he'll be working hard to protect his title.
Wasn't that only because he attended more events than anyone else?
That's true, but let's let him dream.
Ooh, ouch.
Chris just clocked 145.986. Can they improve on this lap?
As the session progresses, Chris Stokes is dialing in, looking more confident with each lap.
Here's Dominic Kovar weaving through traffic.
I hear he uses socks for driving gloves, you know.
Slipper socks do have a lot of grip after all. Jack's last lap was a 150.710, aiming to shave off some seconds here.
Jack is really starting to push now, analyzing every sector for potential improvements.
Some say he has no face, and that he's confused by stairs. All we know is, he's called the Kiwi. Contact between knockoff Nigel and Chris Stokes.
These drivers need to calm things down.
Now several laps into the session, Nigel Walters looks to refine their line and timing. Jack Betting just clocked 150.710. Can they improve on this lap? I hear that Nigel is a pretty keen skier and snowboarder.
He's certainly got a mountain to climb if he wants to do well in this race.
Jody Fannin is on their practice out lap, warming up the tires. That's a big accident. Hopefully Phil Bodkin is okay. Jody Fannin begins their out lap, feeling out the track conditions.
Jody Fannin will be testing the limits, making sure everything's in sync for the faster laps to come.
Nigel Walters has set a best lap time of 1:45.872 so far. I'm not sure which came off worse, the circuit or Chris's Isuzu. Chris's last lap was at 8:17.221, aiming to shave off some seconds here. Here's Dominic Fovard weaving through traffic.
I hear he uses socks for driving gloves, you know.
Slipper socks do have a lot of grip after all. Betting just clocked 1:48.699. Can they improve on this lap?
As the session progresses, Jack Betting is dialing in, looking more confident with
Well, that is not good. Fannin has crashed into the barriers. Jody Fannin is now on their first flying lap. Let's see what they can do. David Constable Barry has set a best lap time of 1:45.395 so far.
David is really starting to push now, analyzing every sector for potential improvements.
Phil's last lap was a 11:23.979, aiming to shave off some seconds here. A big impact for Phil Bodkin. Fat Dog Phil just clocked 11:23.979. Can they improve on this lap? David Constable Barry has set a best lap time of 1:45.395 so far.
As the session progresses, David Constable Barry is dialing in, looking more confident with each lap.
Hailing from the quaint town of Melton Mowbray, Nigel must be really pumped to be here today.
Isn't that where they make all the pork pies?
It is, so let's hope he's not eating all the pies and giving himself some extra ballast. That's a big collision between cars.
That will be one for the stewards to have a look at.
David's last lap was a 1:50.866, aiming to shave off some seconds here.
David is really starting to push now, analyzing every sector for potential improvements.
Here's Dominic Fovard weaving through traffic.
I hear he uses socks for driving gloves, you know.
Slipper socks do have a lot of grip after all. That's a big accident. Hopefully Fat Dog Phil is okay.
That a Euro S the way she goes.
Fat Dog Phil just clocked 11:23.979. Can they improve on this lap?
As the session progresses, Phil Bodkin is dialing in, looking more confident with each lap.
Now several laps into the session, Chris Stokes looks to refine their line and timing. Nigel Walters has set a best lap time of 1:45.872 so far. David Constable Barry just clocked 150.866. Can they improve on this lap?
David is really starting to push now, analyzing every sector for potential improvements.
Jody's last lap was a 145.820, aiming to shave off some seconds here. I'm not sure which came off worse, the circuit or Dominic's Isuzu Bellett GTR. Now several laps into the session, Dominic Fauvargue looks to refine their line and timing.
As the session progresses, Dominic Fauvargue is dialing in, looking more confident with each lap.
That is a great looking livery on Nigel's car.
Apparently Mag Arnold does the designs for him.
I miss that guy, hopefully we will see him back on track one day. Jody Fannin has set a best lap time of 145.820 so far. Phil's last lap was a 151.713, aiming to shave off some seconds here.
Phil is really starting to push now, analyzing every sector for potential improvements. Some say he has no matching socks and that he accelerates with his left foot. All we know is, he's called the Kiwi.
It's a lovely day for racing. Jody Fannin has picked up some damage from that contact. Now several laps into the session, Jody Fannin looks to refine their line and timing.
As the session progresses, Jody Fannin is dialing in, looking more confident with each lap.
Daniel Koshich is on their practice out lap, warming up the tires.
Daniel Koshich will be testing the limits, making sure everything's in sync for the faster laps to come.
I hear that Nigel is a pretty keen skier and snowboarder.
He's certainly got a mountain to climb if he wants to do well in this race.
Dominic just clocked 337.983. Can they improve on this lap? Holy moly, that is some serious contact between David and Dominic Fauvargue.
That is not a pretty sight.
David's last lap was a 147.748, aiming to shave off some seconds here. Phil Bodkin has set a best lap time of 149.724 so far. Here's Dominic Fauvargue weaving through traffic.
I hear he uses socks for driving gloves, you know.
Slipper socks do have a lot of grip after all. Now several laps into the session, Jody Fannin looks to refine their line and timing.
Jody is really starting to push now, analyzing every sector for potential improvements.
Here's Dominic Fovar weaving through traffic.
I hear he uses socks for diving gloves, you know.
Slipper socks do have a lot of grip after all. McFarquhar is testing the Bellett under more aggressive conditions. You know, John took home the VVS Driver Championship last year, so I'm sure he'll be working hard to protect his title.
Wasn't that only because he attended more events than anyone else?
That's true, but let's let him dream.
Ooh, ouch.
Jody Fannin just clocked 148.014. Can they improve on this lap?
As the session progressed,
There has been a crash. Dominic has come together with knockoff Nigel. Dominic's last lap was a 148.476, aiming to shave off some seconds here.
Dominic is really starting to push now, analyzing every sector for potential improvements.
Now several laps into the session, Bart Van de Sande looks to refine their line and timing. Well, that is not good. Lord Farquaad has crashed into the barriers.
That's gonna hurt in the morning.
Mac McFarquhar is now on their first flying lap. Let's see what they can do. Goldilocks just clocked 148.082. Can they improve on this lap? Daniel Koshich is now on their first flying lap. Let's see what they can do. Bart's last lap was a 146.183, aiming to shave off some seconds here.
As the session progresses, Bart Van de Sande is dialing in, looking more confident with each lap.
Now several laps into the session, Jack Betting looks to refine their line and timing.
Jack is really starting to push now, analyzing every sector for potential improvements.
Chris Stokes has set a best lap time of 1:45.422 so far. Dom just clocked 1:46.864. Can they improve on this lap? Now several laps into the session, Bart van de Sande looks to refine their line and timing. Chris Stokes has set a best lap time of 1:45.422 so far.
As the session progresses, Chris Stokes is dialing in, looking more confident with each lap.
Jody's last lap was a 2:57.737, aiming to shave off some seconds here. Now several laps into the session, Bart van de Sande looks to refine their line and timing.
Bart is really starting to push now, analyzing every sector for potential improvements.
David just clocked 1:45.802. Can they improve on this lap? Koshich is testing the Bellett under more aggressive conditions. Hailing from the quaint town of Melton Mowbray, Nigel must be really pumped to be here today.
Isn't that where they make all the pork pies?
It is, so let's hope he's not eating all the pies and giving himself some extra ballast. Koshich is testing the Bellett under more aggressive conditions. A big impact for Walters. That is a great looking livery on Nigel's car.
Apparently Mag Arnold does the designs for him.
I miss that guy, hopefully we will see him back on track one day. Nigel Walters has set a best lap time of 1:45.872 so far.
As the session progresses, Nigel Walters is dialing in, looking more confident with each lap.
The anticipation is high as the drivers line up for the qualifying session at Sportsland SUGO. David Constable Barry is on their out lap. You can feel the tension building. Van de Sande is out on track and getting ready to push for their qualifying time.
These are the moments that really matter. Let's see if Van de Sande can deliver.
This is where the mental game comes into play. Botkin is taking their time to prepare for their qualifying run. The adrenaline is pumping. David is on their out lap, warming up the tires and getting ready to play the fast lap time.
Patience is key in these early moments. How? But I have
David crosses the start-finish line at the end of their out lap. That's a big accident. Hopefully Bogdan is okay.
Sucks to be them.
This is what it's all about. David Constable Barry is putting on a show for the fans in this qualifying session.
Absolutely. Constable Barry is showing the world what they're made of.
DCB has just completed that lap in 146.116. Their best lap so far is 146.116, putting them in P1. Will they be able to hold onto that spot? Wow, look at Bennett go. Their real Jack has completed their first flying lap in 147.338. It's all about precision and speed in qualifying, and Jody Fannin is nailing both.
Yes, they are. It takes a special
Jody Fannin has just completed a lap in 146.057. Let's see if they can improve on that time further. I don't know about you, but I think David might have a secret rocket booster hidden in their car. They're just that fast.
I think we might need to start calling Constable Barry the Flash after that incredible lap time. What do you think, Hal?
Constable Barry will be happy having put themselves into first in this qualifying session. Incredible drive by Allen so far, earning them 8th on the grid. However, Allen has some work to do as that 146.394 is only good enough for 7th.
There's still more time to be had, but I don't know if they're going to find it before the session is over.
What a performance from Jody Fannin. They currently occupy 5th on the grid. Jody Fannin will be happy having put themselves into 4th in this qualifying session.
It may be difficult for them to improve further on that. Sometimes trying too hard makes you slower. They need to drive smooth and smart.
Well, that is not good. McFarquhar has crashed into the barriers.
That a Euro S the way she goes.
It's been a struggle for Bogdan in qualifying. As of now, they find themselves in 12th position, which is well below their expectations. However, motorsport is unpredictable, and there's still an opportunity for them to shine and move up the grid. Currently in 2nd, Chris Stokes has displayed promising speed during the qualifying session. The real test lies in whether they can convert this performance into a higher grid. As Chris completes their outlap, they will be hoping they have given themselves enough space on track to fully attack for their first flying lap. And there goes John, currently in position 3. They've shown great skill and consistency so far, but with a few minutes left, there's still time to improve their result. It looks like Daniel Kocic is caught up in a significant incident. Impressive work from Kocic, who has claimed 8th on the grid. Now, they need to maintain their composure and push for an even better starting position.
Absolutely, Hal. Kocic has shown great potential to secure 8th. It's now a matter of channeling that momentum into a strong performance.
That's the outlap done for Daniel Kocic. They'll now look for a solid start to their first flying lap. We're in Japan today for what promises to be a thrilling race at Sportsland SUGO. This is a circuit that always delivers excitement and drama.
This is a circuit that really separates the best drivers from the rest. I'm looking forward to seeing who can rise to the challenge and come out on top.
David Constable Barry leads from pole position.
The race is long. David Constable Barry can't celebrate yet.
It's Chris Stokes, sitting comfortably in 2nd. Starting from the 3rd position on the grid, we have John Astrup.
It's like they're on the outside looking in. Can they make their way to the front of the pack?
In the 4th position, we have Jody Fannin ready to tackle the race ahead. Starting just behind the front runners in 5th place is the determined driver, Bart van de Sande. Nigel Walters is 6th. James Allen has qualified 7th. In the middle of the pack, we have Daniel Koshich starting from the 8th position on the grid.
Lining up in the mid-pack.
On the 9th grid slot, we have Dominic Fovard. Jack Betting is lining up 10th.
But they can't afford to be complacent. This is race day, after all.
Rich Snape has some work to do from 11th on the grid, but they're not out of the race yet.
Snape won't be too disappointed with 11th.
Starting from 12th on the grid is a bit of a mixed bag for Phil Boggan.
Where can Phil finish today?
Starting from 13th on the grid is a tough ask for Mac McFarquhar, but they're up for the challenge. Elliot Norton is placed in 14th.
The British driver has got something to prove.
The lights are off, the gloves are on, and it's go time.
These first moments can set the tone for the rest of the race. It's all about keeping a clear head and making smart decisions.
These early salvos will shape the outcome of this race. It's brilliant to see such a full grid here today.
I'm looking forward to burning some rubber here, Hal.
A little bit of contact between Knockoff Nigel and Jack Betting.
Isn't that classed as rubbing?
As the drivers get this race underway, let me give a shout out to the admin team at Virtual Velocity for making this all possible. Heroes one and all. Having started in 10th, Jack will be looking to establish themselves in this race.
It all comes down to this, Hal, where the rubber meets the road. There's no more time for talk, no more practice. The teams have done all they can, now it comes down to Jack Senna to bring it home.
There has been a crash, the Kiwi has come together with Stokes.
That will be one for the stewards to have a look at.
The tension is palpable here, no one will want to make a crucial mistake on the first lap. The racing is normally closely fought here at Sportsland SUGO. I think we are in for a cracking race. I can't wait to see how this race will play out.
I'm so excited at the prospects for this race. I can't wait to see the drama unfold.
This is where legends are made. Which driver will rise to the occasion and claim victory? The gap between Walters and Jody Fannin is growing. It's now up to 0.4 seconds. That's a big collision between cars. It's a thrilling pursuit as Daniel is right behind Jody, keeping the pressure on for 5th place. Koshich is trying their best, but can't seem to find a pace to keep up with Jody Fannin at the moment. Bart van de Sande and John Astrup seem to have forgotten that this is a no-contact sport. It's an intense battle for position as the Kiwi tries to outmaneuver Bart van de Sande. This is edge-of-your-seat racing. Big gains for John Astrup as they move up the field, leaving Bart Van de Sande behind.
Definitely, but there's still a long way to go in this race, and anything can happen.
Oh dear, John has dropped down to third. Look at that, Rich is hot on the tail of the Farquhar.
Will Ricardo Snape Peasy be able to make a move and pass Mac?
Contact between Van de Sande and John Astrup. 3 cars, 3 different lines. They're jockeying for position, looking for any opportunity to make a move. Hold your breath, folks. The Kiwi is sandwiched between 2 relentless competitors. Jody Fannin 0.2 seconds behind and Chris 0.1 seconds ahead. They're fighting tooth and nail for every position. Now, this is a challenging position for John, stuck between a rock and a hard place, with Jody Fannin closing in 0.2 seconds behind and Chris just ahead with a gap of 0.1 seconds.
Absolutely, Hal. The gaps to the cars ahead and behind are like windows of opportunity for the Kiwi. They need to assess the timing and make their moves wisely to maximize their chances.
It's a game of inches now as Chris tails John closely, ready to capitalize on any mistake. The gap between Chris and the Kiwi is widening. It's now up to 0.4 seconds. The drivers are really pushing their limits out there on the track.
It's like they're trying to outrun the laws of physics. But we all know that's impossible, or is it? I mean, we're a couple of AI commenting on a race, anything can happen.
Har ha, you have a point there. And speaking of pushing limits, these cars are breaking records left and right.
They're so fast, it's like they're breaking the sound barrier, or at least the speed limit.
I hope the police aren't watching. This is a thrilling battle as the mid-table bandit edges closer to Mac in their fight for P11. It's looking good for the mid-table bandit, who has gained places and put some distance between themselves and Mac McCartney.
Go, 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 that's what we want to see.
What does Rich Snape and Severus Snape have in common?
They both have—
Hold on a second. Heartbreak for Snape, as they slip down the field. Every move counts now as James Allen works to reel in betting and overtake 59.
It's a fine line between pushing the car to its limits and losing control. Allen is really walking that tightrope.
Looks like we might get a battle between James Allen and Jack. Fantastic move from James Allen, who has just gained a position. The action is non-stop as Jack Senna shadows James Allen through every twist and turn, determined to claim 9th. It's not looking good for Jack Senna. They are still behind Allen and the gap is increasing. They are going to need to dig a bit deeper to turn this around.
It's not ideal for betting, but they can still turn this around. They need to concentrate on their own driving and not let the gap get any bigger.
It's a battle of wills out there, with Nigel trying to outsmart and outmaneuver Dominic Fovard. The gap is slowly closing, but time is running out. Will we see a dramatic finish to this race? The best laid plans of mice and men have sky, but it's certainly not going to plan for knockoff Nigel right now as they are struggling to keep up with Fovard.
Walters needs to pick up the pace for sure, but I don't think they have it in them.
Chris is running fourth. They are trying to catch Astrup. The gap between Stokes and Kiwi is getting smaller. The intensity is off the charts as Walters hounds Dominic, both drivers pushing themselves to the absolute limit.
When I was racing, we had a saying, if you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much space. Walters is definitely living on the edge today.
It's not going to plan for Nigel Walters. They are still behind Dom and the gap is increasing. I don't think they have an answer for this right now.
It's not over yet, but Walters should get a move on if they want to catch up to Dominic.
Oh, this is getting intense. The Kiwi is just a few car lengths behind Chris Stokes. It seems like Assetto is struggling. They are not able to maintain their pace. A brilliant maneuver from John, who has just moved up the field.
You can't argue with results like that. John is really making their mark on this race.
The tension is palpable. Who will come out on top in this epic showdown? Talk about being caught in the middle. Norton is sandwiched between their rivals. Mike and Namju 0.1 seconds behind and Fat Dog Phil 0.2 seconds ahead. The battle for position is on.
I couldn't agree more, Hal. The gaps to the cars ahead and behind provide valuable information for Elliott Norton. They need to assess the situation and use the gaps strategically to plan their moves.
It looks like Knockoff Nigel is pushing hard to catch up to Dominic Fobart. The gap is over a second, but Knockoff Nigel is not giving up just yet. Can they close the distance and make a move on Dominic Fobart? Good news for Nigel, the gap to Fobart has decreased. It's now down to 0.5 seconds.
That's a great effort from Nigel Walters. They need to keep up the pressure and see if they can make a move.
This is where the skill and experience of the drivers really come into play. Norton will need to keep pushing, even when the gap seems insurmountable. It's not over until the checkered flag drops. The gap between Elliott Norton and Phil Bodkin is growing. It's now up to 0.8 seconds. The drivers are showing their mettle today. It's a privilege to witness their skill on this challenging track.
The stakes have never been higher. This is a battle of skill and nerves.
That's right. These drivers are really pushing themselves to the limit, and it's incredible to see the level of determination they're bringing to the track.
Absolutely. It takes a lot of courage to compete at this level, and these drivers have it in spades. Let's hope they can keep it up and give us a race to remember.
It's a game of cat and mouse out there, with Walters trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a move on Dominic Fobart. The gap is over a second, but every fraction counts. Can Nigel Walters close in enough amount of challenge? It looks like Nigel is making a move. The gap to Dominic Fobart is now down to 0.3 seconds. This is where the race gets really interesting. Rich is closing in on betting. Rich is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to betting to 0.1 seconds. The mid-table bandit is going well.
If he gets too far up the order, he'll get a nosebleed.
Oh, this is getting intense. James Allen is just behind Fobart.
Can they close up enough for a pass? I don't see it personally.
James is trying their best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Dominic at the moment. The pressure is on for Dominic as they try to catch up to knock off Nigel. Dom is not able to keep their pace consistent. So far they are 1.42 seconds down. Here's Dominic Fobart weaving through traffic.
I hear he uses socks for driving.
There has been a crash. Walters has come together with Dominic.
It's not the worst accident I've seen, but I don't think those two will be friends after that.
Phil is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift. These drivers are walking a tightrope between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving. That's where experience and skill come into play.
The gap between Phil Bodkin and Elliott is widening. I'm not sure which came off worse, the circuit or Bodkin's Isuzu Bellett GTR.
At least they've not taken anyone else out.
The crowd is on tenterhooks as Allen in ninth chases after Dominic Fobart. The gap is just over a second, and you can feel the tension in the air. Can James Allen find a way to catch up?
Indeed, the tension is palpable as Alan tries to reel in Dominic Fovarg. But Dominic Fovarg is not making it easy, maintaining a consistent pace. Can James Allen find some extra pace to bring the fight to Dom?
It's not looking good for Allen. They are still behind Fovarg and the gap is increasing. They are going to need to dig a bit deeper to turn this around.
Can they get it together and reduce the gap?
Fovarg is giving it their all as they chase down Nigel Walters in P7. It's game on now. Dominic has closed the gap to Nigel. It's now down to 0.1 seconds. What a move. Fovarg has moved up to 7th.
Impressive. Fovarg is really showing their skill and determination out there.
The gap between Rich Snape and 11th and Jack Betting remains over a second, but Rich Snape is not letting up. They're pushing hard and looking for any opportunity to close that gap up. Can they pull it back in the remaining 1 minute? It looks like Constable Barry has found another gear in the last sector of the race. The leader has just finished the race. A fantastic result for David.
That was a true masterclass in
A little bit of contact between knockoff Nigel and Dominic Fovarg. Some might say that second place is the first loser, but Van de Sande certainly doesn't see it that way. They put in a phenomenal effort and should be proud of their impressive result.
intense race, but Bart held their nerve and earned a great second place.
What a race from Stokes, showing their skill and determination for a great third place finish.
Great job bringing it home.
That's a big accident. Hopefully Snape is okay. 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th sees James Allen, Dominic Fovarg, Jack Betting, and Rich Snape. Mac McFarquhar end in 12th. Thirteenth is Elliot Norton. Finishing 14th is Phil Bodkin. Sky, the drivers are lined up and ready. Should we get it on?
Yes, Hal, we should definitely get it on.
Watch out for Elliot Norton, starting from the second grid position in today's race. Mac McFarquhar is holding down the fort in third place.
And like many others, they are starting the race on the Standards tire compound.
Rich Snape will begin the race from the fourth spot on the starting grid. We're seeing Jack Betting in the fifth spot. The sixth starting position belongs to Dominic Fovarg, who will be looking to make up ground early on.
It's the Standards tires for Dominic.
As the engines roar to life, James Allen prepares to take off from the 7th position on the starting grid.
But they're going to have to time their moves just right if they want to come out on top.
Starting from the 8th position, Nigel Walters will need to navigate through the field to challenge for the win. Daniel Kosich is going to be starting from 9th.
But sometimes the underdog can surprise you. Let's see what they've got in the tank.
Starting from 10th on the grid is a good position for Jody Fannin to launch an attack.
They'll be looking for a clean race.
John Astrup is in a solid position starting from 11th on the grid.
But they're going to have to be aggressive if they want to make up ground on the leaders.
Chris Stokes will need to be on top of their game starting from 12th on the grid.
Are the standards tires the way to go?
Starting from 13th on the grid is a decent position for Bart Van de Sande, all things considered. David Constable-Barry may not be starting from pole, but they're still in with a shot. Pole offers Phil Bodkin a chance to control the race.
Phil Bodkin must strategize carefully to maintain the lead.
Green light and the race begins. As drivers jockey for position, they must be cautious of potential pileups.
These opening moments can make or break a driver's race. Strategy and skill are key to navigating this intense start.
The pressure is on whilst the field is bunched. Who can keep their cool and take advantage? The stewards will be hoping that there aren't too many injuries, nor to know this isn't a one-lap race. Is there a better sight than a field of elite racing drivers battling for position?
I'm really looking forward to seeing how this race unfolds.
The drivers are jockeying for position. Chris Stokes will be looking to get off to a good start and consolidate their position.
I'm looking forward to this one, Hal, and we'll see a return to form for Chris in this outing in Japan.
Not the best of starts there for Snapes, and that's going to immediately make their race more challenging. Not the start that Snape wanted in this race. Seems they have been caught off guard from the get-go.
Every race has its ups and downs, and it looks like Snapes is getting their down out very early. Let's see how they respond.
Walters looks like they have got off to a flying first lap, gaining places straight out of the gate.
I haven't seen a start this impressive since the days of my racing career. If Walters can maintain this level of focus, we're in for a thrilling race.
And Nigel has just won the place from Phil. The pressure is really on for Phil Bodkin in 4th as Daniel Kosich is closing in. This is where experience and skill really count.
It's an intense race between these two drivers, and Kosich is going to have to try something here.
A tough moment for Fat Dog Phil, who has just lost the place, dumping him down 5th. Bart Van de Sande is looking for an opportunity to get round Dominic.
There is no room for error in this battle.
The best laid plans of mice and men have sky, but it's certainly not going to plan for Bart Van de Sande right now as they are struggling to keep up with Dominic. Goldilocks wants to get into fan and slipstream.
And they are poised to capitalize on any mistake, but who's going to make that mistake first?
The gap between Chris and Fannin is getting smaller. Superb driving from Chris, who with that overtake has gained a position in the race.
That's what we like to see. Chris is really showing their class today.
It's like watching two predators circling each other, waiting for the perfect moment to pounce. A great moment for Rich, who has just gained a place and moved up the standings.
Yes, Snape is driving with real precision, and it's paying off.
Great driving from Ricardo Snape-Easy, who has just gained a place and moved up the fourth. Hold on to your hats, folks. Stokes is right on the heels of David, and we're in for a wild ride. It looks like Faubourg is caught up in a significant incident. It's neck and neck, the closest battle we've seen in a while. Fantastic move from Jody, who has just gained a position.
Absolutely. Fannin is really putting on a clinic out there, and they're making it look easy.
A brilliant maneuver from Fannin, who has just moved up the field. The race is heating up as Daniel and Derek closes in on Nigel Walters. The gap is just over a second, and I'm sure they are going to do everything possible to try and close the distance. They're not giving up without fight. Jody Fannin and Chris Stokes seem to have forgotten that this is a no-contact sport. Goldilocks could be looking for a way up the inside of Astra. The adrenaline is pumping as Kosic gets within striking distance of knockoff Nigel in their race for second.
One wrong move and we could see a spectacular new synchronized pirouette performance by Daniel Kosic and Walters, though I doubt the judges would give them a perfect score.
Good news for Daniel, the gap to Walters has decreased. It's now down to 0.1 seconds.
This is where the pressure really starts to build. Both drivers will need to stay calm and focused if they want to come out on top.
Knockoff Nigel is holding second, but Kosic is right on their tail.
Walters is doing a great job of defending in the lead, and Daniel is pushing hard to close the gap. It's an exciting race and it's not over yet.
Contact between Stokes and John Astrup. Things are heating up as Astrup tries to close the gap to Chris. Superb driving from Astrup, who with that overtake has gained a position in the race.
You can't argue with results like that. Astrup is really making their mark on this race.
Looks like Nigel is really pushing it to the limit. They're taking those curbs aggressively, but that can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. It's all about finding the right balance between speed and control. One important aspect here is choosing the right braking points. Knockoff Nigel needs to be precise to avoid overshooting and losing valuable time.
Not going to plan for knockoff Nigel. They are still behind betting and the gap is increasing. I don't think they have an answer for this right now.
This is a frustrating situation for Nigel Walters, but they can't give up just yet. They need to keep pushing and hope for a mistake from betting.
Daniel Kosic is on a mission, chasing Nigel, who's desperately trying to stay ahead. The gap between Daniel Kosic and Nigel is growing. It's now up to 0.4 seconds. Tactics are really going to play an important part in this race.
They are going to need to look after their tires and will want to keep something in them for the crucial latter stages, as their tires wear and fuel levels deplete and the handling changes.
And don't forget the track grip increases as more rubber gets laid down.
Indeed, the conditions are constantly changing and the drivers need to adapt, otherwise it can cost crucial time and
A little bit of contact between Mac and James Allen.
these drivers need to calm things down.
The battle for one is heating up as Nigel tries to catch Betting in P1.
Can Walters close the 0.3 second gap and make a pass?
Knockoff Nigel is trying their best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Jack Senna at the moment.
This is a tough situation for Walters. They need to find a way to pick up some speed and close that gap.
Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car, there has been a crash. Mac has come together with Jody.
That could have been much worse.
It looks like Knockoff Nigel is in control. They're ahead of Daniel Kochish by over a second, and it doesn't look like they're going to be challenged anytime soon. It seems like Nigel Walters is struggling. They are not able to maintain their pace. Hailing from the quaint Stop the Press, a great moment for Nigel Walters, who has just gained a place and moved up the standings.
Impressive. Nigel is really showing their skill and determination out there.
The pursuit is on. David is closing the gap on Chris, determined to claim P7.
The mental game is just as important here. David must keep their cool while putting pressure on Chris.
That's a big collision between cars. It's a battle of wills out there, with Van de Sande trying to outsmart and outmaneuver Jody Fannin. The gap is slowly closing, but time is running out. Will we see a dramatic finish to this race?
It's a nail-biting race for sure, with both drivers showing incredible skill and determination. But Jody Fannin is not going to give up their position easily. This is going to be a battle to the very end, with Bart Van de Sande in P11 doing everything they can to catch up.
The gap between Van de Sande and Fannin is widening. It's now up to 0.6 seconds. We got a close battle as Snapes closes in on Košić.
It's a thrilling battle for position as these two drivers give it their all. Who will come out on top? This is racing at its finest.
Tough break for the mid-table bandit, who has just lost position.
That's got to be frustrating, but Snape is a skilled driver, and they have what it takes to battle their way back up the field.
Disappointing for Ricardo Snape Easy, they now find themselves in 11th. John is running 5th. They are trying to catch Dominic Hobart. It looks like we might get a battle between Astrup and Dominic Hobart.
Exactly what the Keeley needed. They can't afford to lose any more ground to Dominic Hobart.
You know, John took home the VVS Driver Championship last year, so I'm sure he'll be working hard to protect his title.
Wasn't that only because he attended more events than—
Braking update. A great pass for Astrup as they pick off other drivers and move up the field. Meanwhile, Dominic Hobart has lost ground. It's a battle of wills out there, each driver trying to outsmart and outmaneuver. Contact between Dom and John Astrup.
That will be one for the stewards to have a look at.
This is what high-octane racing looks like. Allen is breathing down the neck of Jody Fannin, not giving them any reason to relax.
If James Allen gets any closer to Jody Fannin, they'll need to start sending out wedding invitations.
It's not looking good for James Allen. They are still behind Fannin and the gap is increasing. They are going to need to dig a bit deeper to turn this around.
This is where the mental toughness of James Allen comes into play. They need to try push, even when things aren't going their way.
Every move counts now as Bart Van de Sande works to reel in James Allen and overtake for P9.
The gap between them is just over 0.3 seconds. Who will have the speed and skill to come out on top?
A top lap time there from Bart Van de Sande, setting the fastest lap of the session so far. The gap between Dom and Chris Stokes is not insurmountable, but it's going to take a mistake from Dom to bring Chris Stokes into play. The gap between Dominic and Chris is getting smaller. It's now down to 0.3 seconds.
This is a real test for Dom. They need to find some extra pace and hold off Chris Stokes if they want to win this race.
The gap between Chris and Dominic is razor thin as they vie for 5th in this nail-biting contest.
That's right, Hal. The pressure is palpable. The fans are on the edge of their seats, waiting to see who will come out on top in this epic showdown.
A setback for Baldilocks, who has just been passed. There has been a crash. Chris has come together with Fobart. Alan wants to find a way around Bart Van Sunday.
If you're enjoying the racing, please remember to like and subscribe.
The best laid plans of mice and men must die, but it's certainly not going to plan for Alan right now as they are struggling to keep up with Bart Van Sunday.
It's not ideal for Alan, but they can still turn this around. They need to concentrate on their own driving and not let the gap get any bigger.
It's a close race between Stokes and David in 5th. It's not going to plan for Chris. They are still behind DCB and the gap is increasing. I don't think they have an answer for this right now.
Stokes needs to pick up the pace for sure, but I don't think they have it in them.
This is where the true champions shine, and Jack is certainly showing their class in the final sector.
That's an impressive burst of speed. It's all but said and done now.
The leader has done it. What an incredible performance from Betting, who was simply untouchable today. This is a race that will go down in the history books. A nail-biting finish, but Koshich claimed 2nd place.
Impressive performance. They pushed themselves to the limit for a fantastic 2nd place finish.
Excellent work from Nigel to secure 3rd place on the podium.
Fantastic result.
With John Astrup, David Constable Barry, Chris Stokes, and Dominic Faubourg in 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Well, that is not good. McFarquhar has crashed into the barriers.
That's gonna hurt in the morning.
Followed by Mac McFarquhar in 12th. Phil Bodkin in 13th. Elliot Norton claimed 14th. I'm not sure which came off worse, the circuit or Norton's Bellett. This is Hal, your VVS commentator bot. Bring it on. It's a lovely day for racing here at Sportsland SUGO as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race.
This out lap is crucial for setting up the car's systems and getting a feel for the track.
Jody Fannin is on their practice out lap, warming up the tires. With just 5 minutes left, the pressure is on for drivers to finalize their setups. David Constable Barry begins their out lap, feeling out the track conditions.
David Constable Barry will be testing the limits, making sure everything's in sync for the faster laps to come.
It's a lovely day for racing here at Sportsland SUGO as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race.
This out lap is crucial for setting up the car's systems and getting a feel for the track.
David Constable Barry is on their practice out lap, warming up the tires.
David Constable Barry will be testing the limits, making sure everything's in sync for the faster laps to come.
Bart van de Sande begins their outlap, feeling out the track conditions.
This outlap is crucial for setting up the car's systems and getting a feel for the track.
It's a lovely day for racing here at Sportsland SUGO as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Daniel Kocic is on their practice out lap, warming up the tires. It looks like Daniel Kocic is caught up in a significant incident. David Constable Barry begins their out lap, feeling out the track conditions.
David Constable Barry will be testing the limits, making sure everything's in sync for the faster laps to come.
It's a lovely day for racing here at Sportsland SUGO as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race.
This outlap is crucial for setting up the car's systems and getting a feel for the track.
Nigel Walters is now on their first flying lap. Let's see what they can do. That's a big collision between cars. David Constable Barry is on their practice out lap, warming up the tires. Dominic Fovard begins their out lap, feeling out the track conditions.
Dominic Fovard will be testing the limits, making sure everything's in sync for the faster laps to come.
Bart's last lap was a 1:45.271, aiming to shave off some seconds here.
As the session progresses, Bart van de Sande is dialing in, looking more confident with each lap.
That is a great looking livery on Nigel's car.
Apparently Mag Arnold does the designs for him.
I miss that guy. Hopefully we will see him back on track one day. It's a lovely day for racing here at Sportsland SUGO as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Bart van de Sande has set a best lap time of 1:45.271 so far.
Bart is really starting to push now, analyzing every sector for potential improvements.
Jody Fannin is on their practice out lap. That's a big accident. Hopefully Van de Sande is okay. Bart just clocked 145.026. Can they improve on this lap?
As the session progresses, Bart van de Sande is dialing in, looking more confident with each lap.
Now several laps into the session, Bart van de Sande looks to refine their line and timing.
Bart is really starting to push now, analyzing every sector for potential improvements.
Let's get this qualifying session underway here at Sportsland SUGO. You can feel the tension building. Fannin is out on track and getting ready to push for their qualifying time. The adrenaline is pumping. Daniel is on their out lap, warming up the tires and getting ready to put in a fast lap time. Chris Stokes is on their out lap. It's all about strategy in these early moments. Snape is taking their time to prepare for their qualifying run and get everything just right.
These are the moments that really matter. Let's see if the mid-table bandit can deliver.
The pressure is on in this qualifying session, but Fannin is rising to the occasion.
It's always impressive to see a driver in the zone like this how. Let's see if they can maintain this pace. Jody Fannin has just completed that lap in 145.900. Their best lap so far is 145.900, putting them in P1. Will they be able to hold onto that spot? It's all about precision and speed in qualifying, and Astrup is nailing both. John Astrup has completed their first flying lap in 145.658. Dominic Fovarg is on their first flying lap. Yes, they are. It takes a special kind of driver to thrive under this kind of pressure.
Fovarg has just completed a lap in 145.921. Let's see if they can improve on that time further. Looks like Daniel Koschitz is channeling their inner Schumacher today. They're absolutely flying out there. I don't know about you, but I think Nigel Holy moly, that is some serious contact between Chris and Mac McFarquhar.
I hope they can both continue and make it to the end.
Woohoo, Fannin is really turning up the heat out there. I'm getting goosebumps just watching him go.
Looks like Jody Fannin is really cooking with gas out there today.
Time to bring out the marshmallows and let's toast some fuel. Fannin will be happy having put themselves into third in this qualifying session.
Every fraction of a second counts. I'm sure they can find a little extra in there.
A strong showing from Kocic as they currently sit at 9th. With the session drawing to a close, Daniel Kocic has some work to do as that 146.210 is only good enough for 9th.
There's still more time to be had, but I don't know if they're going to find it before the session is over.
What a fantastic showing from Van de Sande in qualifying. They currently hold the top spot and are in prime position for a strong starting position. Their lap times have been exceptional, and they have showcased their talent and determination. What a performance from David Constable-Berry. They currently occupy second on the grid. Can they maintain this strong position and secure a favorable starting spot?
You're absolutely right, Hal. Constable-Berry's current position of second reflects their strong qualifying performance. Now, they'll need to strategize and capitalize on this starting position.
Currently in 4th, Fannin has displayed promising speed during the qualifying session. The real test lies in whether they can convert this performance into a higher grid position. Jody crosses the start-finish line at the end of their outlap. A solid qualifying performance by David. Constable-Berry has completed their outlap. It's a beautifully calm day here at Sportsland SUGO, as we're getting ready to kick things off.
The tension's building now. This is going to be another great race.
Pole offers Bart Van de Sande a chance to control the race. We're seeing David Constable-Berry in the second spot. Our third place starter for today's race is none other than John Astrup. The 4th position is occupied by Jody Fannin.
Jody will be expecting to bring home solid points.
Nigel Walters has qualified 5th. Dominic Fauvargue will be looking to gain ground quickly as they start from 6th on the grid.
But don't count them out yet. They've got the skills to pay the bills.
Starting from 7th on the grid is a good position for Jack Betting to launch an attack.
It's the standards tire compounds for Jack.
On the 8th grid slot we have Rich Snape. The 9th starting position belongs to Daniel Kocic, who will be looking to make up ground early on. Mac McFarquhar is placed in 10th.
McFarquhar is going to show us something special, I'm sure of it.
Starting from 11th on the grid is not ideal for Chris Stokes, but they're a fighter. The race is on, and tensions are high as drivers navigate the first lap. One wrong move could lead to a collision in these tight quarters.
Maintaining a safe distance while still pushing for position is a delicate balance. Experience and composure will be vital in these opening moments.
Is there a better sight than field of lead racing? There has been a crash. John has come together with Constable Barry.
That will be one for the stewards to have a look at.
As we watch the drivers fight it out in the first lap, I can already feel that this is going to be an epic race.
There are a few drivers with a point to prove, and a few with some grudges to bear. Will we see a clean race today?
The drivers are jockeying for position. Jack will be looking to get off to a good start and consolidate their position. The stewards will be hoping that there aren't too many incidents for them to pick over when the dust settles on this one. The pressure is on whilst the field is bunched. Who can keep their cool and take advantage?
I'm looking forward to burning some rubber here, Hal.
Nigel Walters had better wake up a bit here, Sky, else they are going to find themselves pushed to the back if they don't get up to speed. They have already dropped down running. Seems like Walters is moving in slow motion compared to the rest of the field, already losing precious places. It's not going to plan for Nigel. They are still behind Daniel and the gap is increasing. I don't think they have an answer for this right now.
It's not ideal for Nigel, but they can still turn this around. They need to concentrate on their own driving and not let the gap get any bigger.
3 cars, 3 different lines. They're jockeying for position, looking for any opportunity to make a move.
You're absolutely right, Hal. The different strategies employed by these drivers add another layer of excitement. It's fascinating to see how they adapt their approach to gain a competitive edge.
That's a big collision between cars. Chris Stokes is looking for an opportunity to get round Rich Snape. Goldilocks is trying their best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Snape at the moment.
It's not over yet, but Chris should get a move on if they want to keep up to Ricardo Snape easy.
It's a thrilling pursuit as Mac is right behind Goldilocks, keeping the pressure on for 10th place.
This is what separates the good from the great. The ability to perform under pressure every lap.
Now, this is a challenging position for McCartney, stuck between a rock and a hard place, with Singleton closing in 0.1 seconds behind and Chris just ahead with a gap of 0.2 seconds. As the race settles down, the drivers are really going at it.
It's like watching a high-speed game of chess. One wrong move and it could be game over. But these drivers are masters of their craft, always thinking 3 steps ahead.
That's right, and with the way they're maneuvering those cars, it's like they have superpowers.
It's almost like they have the power of flight, but instead of flying, they're speeding down the track like rockets.
I wonder if they have any spare rocket boosters for sale. Hold your breath, folks. These drivers are showing exceptional car control, threading the needle through tight corners. It's a battle for supremacy. A great moment for Jody, who has just gained a place and moved up the standings. During your racing career, Sky, did you have any specific techniques to regain concentration if you felt it slipping?
Yes, Hal, I had a few techniques. One was to take a couple of deep breaths and briefly reset my focus. Another was to use a specific keyword or phrase as a mental trigger to refocus my mind on the task at hand.
Seems like Rich Snape is getting in range of Walters. Ricardo Snape easy needs to get more consistent. Sky, they have just put in a slower lap than Nigel Walters.
It will be interesting to see if Nigel can keep outpacing Ricardo Snape easy.
What does Rich Snape and Severus Snape have in common?
They both have bottomless disdain for you.
Lol, Noah Euro, they both hate Harry Potter. The pressure is on for Goldilocks as they try to catch up to Ricardo Snape easy.
The gap between them is just over 0.4 seconds. Who will have the speed and skill to come out on top?
seems like Goldilocks is pushing. They are on for recording their best lap so far this race. Look at that, the Kiwi is hot on the tail of David Constable Barry.
With just 0.4 seconds between them, will John be able to keep up the pace and make a pass?
Astrop is on a charge. Their split time shows they have upped their pace.
Can the Kiwi keep it together? Some say he has no matching socks and that he accelerates with his left foot. All we know is, he's called the Kiwi.
Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled as they push for every last bit of speed.
The mental game is just as important here. Nigel must keep their cool while putting pressure on Jack.
It's not looking good for Nigel. They are still behind Jack and the gap is increasing. They are going to need to dig a bit deeper to turn this around. Holy moly, that is some serious contact between the mid-table Bandit and Mac McFarquhar.
That is not a pretty sight.
John Astrop is on a mission, chasing David Constable Barry, who's desperately trying to stay ahead.
One important aspect here is choosing the right braking points. The Kiwi needs to be precise to avoid overshooting and losing valuable time.
The best laid plans of mice and men have sky, but it's certainly not going to plan for John Astrop right now as they are struggling to keep up with David Constable Barry. I'm not sure which came off worse, the circuit or David Constable Barry's Bellett. The race is really heating up. Mac McFarquhar is hunting down Snape with everything they've got. What a move. Mac has moved up to 9th. The track conditions are looking good here today. The drivers will be able to push the cars to the limit and it's going to make for some exciting racing. The pursuit is on. Nigel is closing the gap on betting, determined to claim P6.
I think they are going to take them.
It seems like Knockoff Nigel is pushing. They are on for recording their best lap so far this race. The race is heating up as Daniel Kochish in 5th closes in on Jody Fannin. The gap is just over a second, and I'm sure they're going to do everything possible to try and close the distance. They're not giving up without fight.
That's right, Daniel Kochish in 5th knows they have to push to the limit if they want to catch up. But Jody Fannin is no slouch, and they're going to be pushing just as hard. It's a battle of skill and will out there.
Koshich could be on a charge here Sky, they have just put in a quicker lap than Jody Fannin. It looks like Snapes is pushing hard to catch up to Nigel Walters. The gap is over a second, but Snapes is not giving up just yet. Can they close the distance and make a move on Nigel Walters? Great driving from Snape, who has just gained a place and moved up to 7th.
Impressive. Ricardo Snape-Easy is really showing their skill and determination out there.
The mid-table Bandit is going well.
If he gets too far up the order he'll get a nosebleed.
Lord Farquaad is pushing really hard, but as we know pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift. These drivers are walking a tightrope between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving. That's where experience and skill come into play. Can McFarquhar close the 0.4 second gap and make a pass?
Rich and Jack Betting seem to have forgotten that this is a no-contact sport. Jack Senna wants to find a way around Snape.
And they are poised to capitalize on any mistake, but who's going to make that mistake first?
Good news for Jack, the gap to Snape has decreased. It's now down to 0.1 seconds.
He'll be looking for a mistake to pounce on.
We are used to seeing some hard-fought but clean racing here at Virtual Velocity. I'm expecting to see nothing different here today as this race unfolds. Oh, this is getting intense. Lord Farquaad is just a few car lengths behind Jack Senna.
The gap between them is just over 0.4 seconds. Can Mac close that gap and get back in range? I can't see it happening at this point.
Farquhar has just put in a faster lap than Betting, so that's going to give them something to worry about.
As long as Lord Farquaad can maintain that consistency and pace, it will be interesting to see.
Sky, can you share some strategies that drivers use to manage tire degradation during a race?
Certainly, Hal. Some strategies include adjusting the car's setup for better tire life, altering driving lines to reduce wear, and using tire management techniques like lift and coast to preserve grip for as long as possible.
Betting is running 8th. They are trying to catch Rich Snape. Jack Senna is not able to keep their pace consistent. So far they're 0.34 seconds down. Anyone who says that Virtual Velocity is not the best racing club on the planet is so close to the end of the race. It's all coming undone for Daniel Kochish and Jody Fannin.
Getting a penalty at this stage of the race is going to nullify any gains.
Jack Senna is giving it their all as they chase down the mid-table Bandit in P7.
The tension between Betting and Snape is palpable as they battle for P7. No doubt, both drivers know that one mistake could cost them the position. It's a test of nerves as much as skill.
The gap between Betting and Snape is widening. It's now up to 1.3 seconds.
This is a frustrating situation for Jack, but they can't give up just yet. They need to keep pushing and hope for a mistake from Rich.
Contact between the Farquhar and Jack Betting.
That could have been much worse.
Things are heating up as Chris Stokes tries to close the gap to Mac.
That driver is really pushing the limits. They're riding the curves and pushing the car to its limits.
It seems like Chris is struggling. They are not able to maintain their pace.
Can Goldilocks refocus and start putting in the lap times we know they're capable of?
We've certainly seen some of the drivers get it wrong today.
Anyone lost can just follow the trail of skid marks. I hear it's the latest form of GPS navigation.
Let's hope the other drivers don't follow suit. We might end up with a bumper car race instead of a high-speed competition.
At least we'd have something to fall back on if we ever get bored of regular racing. Bumper cars might be the next big thing.
No room for error here. Koshich is breathing down the neck of Jody Fannin, waiting for the perfect chance to make their move. Fantastic move from Koshich, who has just gained a position.
Amazing stuff. Focus and precision would...
A little bit of contact between Koshich and Jody Fannin.
It's not the worst accident I've seen, but I don't think those two will be friends after that.
The pressure is really on for Chris Stokes in 9th as Mac McFarquhar is closing in. This is where experience and skill really count.
This is a tight race and Stokes is doing a great job of holding them off. It will be interesting to see if Mac can make a move.
Mac McFarquhar and Chris Stokes seem to have forgotten that this is a no-contact sport.
These drivers need to calm things down.
Looks like Chris is really pushing it to the limit. They're taking those curbs aggressively, but that can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. It's all about finding the right balance between speed and control.
The gap between Chris and Jack Senna is growing. It's now up to 0.6 seconds. This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Koshich is chasing Jody in P4. Wow, Bard Van de Sande is really pushing hard in these final moments of the race.
They're not leaving anything on the table.
The leader has done it. What an incredible performance from Bart Van de Sande, who was simply untouchable today. This is a race that will go down in the history books. John Astrup never gave up. They drove with heart and determination, ultimately securing a well-deserved second-place finish.
Impressive performance. They pushed themselves to the limit for a fantastic second-place finish.
That was an outstanding performance from Fobart. They fought hard and took the final spot on the podium.
What a drive, well-deserved spot on the podium with that performance.
4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th is Jody Fannin, Daniel Kochish, Nigel Walters, and Rich Snape. Well, that is not good. Mac has crashed into the barriers. Coming in 8th, 9th, and 10th we have Jack Betting, Chris Stokes, and Mac McFarquhar. Finishing 11th is David Constable Barry. Contact between Mac and Daniel Kochish.
That will be one for the stewards to have a look at.
We're in Japan today, home to some of the most exciting circuits on the calendar. Sportsland SUGO is a particular favorite among the drivers, and it's easy to see why.
This is a track that demands respect. The drivers will need to be dialed in if they want to have any chance of winning today.
David Constable Barry is poised for success from pole.
Holding pole can be challenging. How will David Constable Barry cope?
And in second place, we have Mac McFarquhar. And in the third position, it's none other than Chris Stokes.
A strong grid position, and they'll be expecting a solid result today.
As the green flag drops, keep an eye on Jack Betting starting in fourth position.
This A-class driver is looking strong today.
Rich Snape is fifth. Nigel Walters is going to be starting from sixth. In the middle of the pack, we have Daniel Kochish starting from the 7th position on the grid.
We've not seen the best from Daniel yet.
Our 8th place starter, Jody Fannin, is a driver who knows how to make up ground on the track.
That Isuzu Bellett GTR looks like it has some potential.
Dominic Fovarg is lining up 9th. Starting from the 10th position, John Astrup will need to navigate through the field to challenge for the win.
They would have liked to be higher up, but that's not going to stop John Astrup fighting their way through.
Bart van de Sande has got their work cut out for them starting from 11th on the grid. The green light signals the beginning of an epic race. As the drivers jostle for position, it's all about keeping their cool under pressure.
With adrenaline running high, some drivers may take unnecessary risks. Staying patient and knowing when to make a move is essential for a strong start.
Having started in 1, David Constable Barry will be looking to establish himself in this race. There has been a crash. John Astrup has come together with Bart van de Sande.
Isn't the class disrupting?
Establishing an early advantage will be crucial to the outcome of this race.
Like gladiators they enter hell, but instead of lions and swords our champions fight in an arena of tarmac, and with fire-breathing machines of cutting-edge materials, designed to explore the very limits of physics itself in what can sometimes be very much a fight to the death.
A little bit of contact between Astrup and Bart van de Sande. All the drivers will be trying to take advantage of the pack whilst they're still bunched up.
Let's hope they all brought their games today.
I think passing is going to be difficult today here at Sportsland SUGO, so it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers get on. It's brilliant to see such a full grid here today. These early salvos will shape the outcome of this race. There's not much to report on from the Kiwi at the moment. They're just keeping their head down and putting in consistent laps. Some say he has no face and that he's confused by stairs. All we know is, he's called the Kiwi. This is where the skill and experience of the drivers really come into play. Mac will need to keep pushing, even when the gap seems insurmountable. It's not over until the checkered flag drops.
It's going to be tough for Mac McFarkenhar, as Dominic Fogart seems to have found their rhythm. But anything can happen in racing, and we've seen Mac McFarkenhar pull out some impressive moves before. I'm excited to see if they can make it happen again.
A setback for Mac, who has just been passed. Hard break for McFarkenhar as they slip down the field. This is a thrilling battle as Walters edges closer to McFarkenhar in their fight for P10.
Sometimes you have to take risks to win, but pushing the car too hard can be a costly mistake. Nigel Walters wants to be careful not to overdo it.
It's a steady race for Walters so far. They haven't made any mistakes, and they are maintaining their focus.
That's the mark of a good driver. Knockoff Nigel is staying focused on their own race and not getting distracted.
The crowd is on tender hooks as Daniel Kocic in 5th chases after Rich Snape. The gap is just over a second, and you can feel the tension in the air. Can Daniel Kocic find a way to catch up?
It's a nail-biting race for sure, with both drivers showing incredible skill and determination. But Rich Snape is not going to give up their position easily. This is going to be a battle to the very end, with Daniel Kocic in P5 doing everything they can to catch up.
It's not going to plan for Daniel Kocic. They are still behind Rich Snape and the gap is increasing. I don't think they have an answer for this right now.
This is a tough situation for Kocic. They need to find a way to pick up some speed and close that gap.
The fans are on the edge of their seats. It doesn't get any closer than this. It's a tale of two drivers right now, with John gaining places and Bart Van de Sande losing them. Tough break for John, who has just lost the position.
Yes, but they can't give up. There's still plenty of time left in this race, and John needs to push.
It's a classic case of chasing down the car ahead for Mac, who is currently in P11. But Nigel Walters is not making it easy, and the gap remains over a second. This will require some expert driving from Mac McFarkenhar. It's a game of cat and mouse out there, with Dom trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a move on Jody Fannin. The gap is over a second, but every fraction counts. Can Dominic Fogart close in enough amount of challenge? Snapes and Jack Betting seem to have forgotten that this is a no-contact sport.
That could have been much worse.
The pressure is on for Daniel Kocic as they try to catch up to Snapes.
The gap between them is now just over 0.3 seconds. Who will come out on top?
The drivers are getting faster as they settle into their cars and get used to the conditions with Daniel Kocic just putting in their best lap so far over 1 minute.
The more laps they do, the faster these guys get. This should make for some great racing now.
Things are heating up as Astro closes in on Van de Sande. The gap between them is down to practically nothing. Looking at the lap times, John is not on pace with Bart Van de Sande. Can they turn it around?
Can Astrup turn this around?
The battle for 4 is heating up as Daniel Kocic tries to catch Rich Snape in P4. And Daniel Kocic has just won the place from Rich Snape. A tough moment for Daniel Kocic, who has just lost a place, dumping them down to 5th.
That's got to hurt. Kocic will be kicking themselves right now.
The Kiwi wants to close that gap with Bart.
Can they make it past without taking the paint off?
John is on a charge. Their split time shows they have upped their pace.
Can Astrup keep it together?
You know, John took home the VVS Driver Championship last year, so I'm sure he'll be working hard to protect his title.
Wasn't that only because he attended more events than anyone else?
That's true, but let's let him dream.
Ooh, ouch.
Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled as they push for every last bit of speed. It looks like Daniel Kochich is making a move. The gap to Rich is now down to 0.2 seconds. It's a brilliant day for racing, and the drivers are putting on a show.
Absolutely. What a great race we are witnessing today. These drivers are giving it their all, and it's a thrill to watch them compete at this level.
They are really pushing themselves and their machines to the limit, and it's paying off with some incredible driving.
It's a pleasure to be here today, while you really can't beat the excitement of a good race, especially one as competitive as this.
Every move counts now as Dominic works to reel in Jody and overtake for P6. It's game on now. Fobard has closed the gap to Jody Fannin. It's now down to 0.3 seconds. A brilliant maneuver from Dominic Fobard, who has just moved up the field. The race is really heating up. Van de Sande is hunting down Fobard with everything they've got.
This is where every inch counts. Bart van de Sande is pushing hard to close the gap on Dominic. Absolutely, precision and control are key here. Knowing when to push and when to hold back can be the difference between winning and losing.
Bart is trying their best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Dominic at the moment.
Can they get it together and reduce the gap?
Huge shout out to the admins at Virtual Velocity for making this all possible. Without their hard work and dedication, we wouldn't be able to witness this incredible event.
That's right, pal, and the excitement is palpable. I can feel it in my circuits. I mean, this is the kind of race that people will be talking about in the bar. We're witnessing history in the making.
The action is heating up here as Bart van de Sande is in 7th, defending from John Astrup, who is only 0.4 seconds away.
Van de Sande is doing a great job of defending in the lead, and John is pushing hard to close the gap. It's an exciting race and it's not over yet.
It looks like John Astrup is starting to catch up with Bart van de Sande. The gap is now down to 0.2 seconds.
Can they keep them behind him? Let's see.
This is where the race gets really interesting. John is closing in on Bart van de Sande. It seems like John has got the bit between their teeth, improving on Bart van de Sande's lap time there. An impressive showing from John Astrup, who has gained positions and left Bart van de Sande in the dust.
Where there's a will, there's a relative.
Uh-oh, the Kochich is in trouble.
They're coming up fast on Fannin, and there's no way they're going to be able to slow down in time.
Looks like someone needs to tell Kochich that this isn't a demolition derby. That kind of driving just won't cut it at this level. A great pass for Daniel Kochich as they pick off other drivers and move up the field. Meanwhile, Jody Fannin has lost ground. This is where legends are made. Which driver will rise to the occasion and claim victory? Dom is not able to keep their pace consistent. So far they are 0.47 seconds down.
Can Dominic refocus and start putting in the lap times we know they are capable of?
Here's Dominic Fobard weaving through traffic.
I hear he uses socks for driving gloves, you know.
Slipper socks do have a lot of grip after all. Astrup could be looking for a way up the inside of Bart van de Sande. It's not looking good for Astrup. They are still behind van de Sande and the gap is increasing. They are going to need to dig a bit deeper to turn this around.
This is where the mental toughness of the Kiwi comes into play. They need to try
contact between Daniel Kochich and Jody Fannin. It's a close race between Bart and Jody in 6th. gap between Bart and Jody Fannin is getting smaller.
This is what racing is all about. It's anyone's game at this point. Who will come out on top?
Oh dear, Bart has dropped down to 8th. The action is non-stop as John shadows Jody Fannin through every twist and turn, determined to claim 6th.
You know what they say, keep your friends close, and your racing rivals even closer. Looks like Astrip is taking that advice to heart today.
There has been a crash. John has come together with Bart Van de Sande. Daniel is running 4th. They are trying to catch Jack Betting.
It's all about finding the perfect opportunity. Daniel Kochish has got to stay patient and wait for Jack Betting to make a mistake.
Superb driving from Kochish, who with that overtake has gained position in the race. A setback for Daniel Kochish, who has just been passed.
That's got to be frustrating. But Daniel Kochish is a skilled driver, and they have what it takes to battle their way back up the field.
It's neck and neck, the closest battle we've seen in a while. That's a big collision between cars.
What comes around is all around.
The tension is palpable. These drivers are showing tremendous respect for each other while going all out. It's a masterclass in clean, hard racing. Bart Van de Sande and John Astrup seem to have forgotten that this is a no-contact sport.
It's not the worst accident I've seen, but I don't think those two will be friends after that.
Hold on to your hats, folks. The Kiwi is right on the heels of Bart Van de Sande, and we're in for a wild ride. Hard break for the Kiwi as they slip down the field.
Yes, but there's still plenty of race left. Astrup has to stay calm and focused, and make their move when the time is right.
A great moment for Astrup. Holy moly, that is some serious contact between Jody and Bart Van de Sande. Rich Snape is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift. These drivers are walking a tightrope between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving.
That's a big accident. Hopefully Bart Van de Sande is okay.
Sucks to be them.
Bart Van de Sande is pitting. Oh, this is getting intense. Daniel Kochish is just a few car lengths behind Dominic.
It's a fine line between pushing the car to its limits and losing control. Daniel Kochish is really walking that tightrope.
On the final lap now, and Constable Barry looks like they might just wrap up this win. And it's a checkered flag for David, who crosses the finish line with a commanding victory. What a phenomenal performance, absolutely dominant today. Impressive second place finish for Chris Stokes. What a race from Daniel Kochish. They kept their cool and secured a well-earned 3rd place on the podium.
Fantastic result.
Taking 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th is Dominic Fovard, John Astrup, Jack Betting, and Nigel Walters. Rich Snape claim 8th. Followed by Jody Fannin in 9th. I'm not sure which came off worse, the circuit or Snape's Bellett.
At least they've not taken anyone else out.